Okay, you want to go again?
Well, that's a sell.
We can go again. We can go again.
Yeah, I have to be rough on that back, man. Fuck!
Okay, let's
Ready?
get this. Ready? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ali's Take back with another video. This video is going to be about something that everybody who watches soccer talks about. Everybody who watches the Prem, everybody talks about this. The media is putting it out. So I thought, why not give the best possible take on what the top six is going to look like for next year? Okay. Obviously, I have my friend Nicholas Siri on the line here. And basically, the way the video is going to go is we're only talking about the Premier League, we're only talking about the top six. We're also going to be going over who's going to win which awards. And again, that's also strictly going to be for the Premier League. This video is not going to be, who's winning Ballon d'Or, who's winning, UEFA's team of the tournament, team of the year, anything like that. This is basically just strictly off of the Premier League. And we're basically just going to go off one another, and where he's going to talk about who he thinks is going to be in the top six, and I'm personally going to talk about who I think is going to be in my top six. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit too
Uh,
hard for us to try to predict who's gonna finish 10th and 14th and all that. Like, and no one really cares. Like, truthfully, like if you're watching this video, you probably don't really care what I think Aston Villa is gonna finish, for example. Okay, so keep it strictly simple, short, top six from each of us, and yeah, I think
yeah.
that's I think. And by the way, just a disclaimer: he doesn't know my top six. I don't know his before this video, so should get
Yeah,
interesting for us
that's right.
both. I'm really excited to hear what
Yes.
you have to say.
Yes.
So if you want to tell me your sixth starting off, I'm actually you won't like my sixth, but I want to see who's your sixth.
And it's gonna be funny because we're both very very biased people to our own clubs, or who we
And our own
support, or
opinions.
who we like. Yes, very very biased. The one thing is I should add, like, I think it was like in the last like 2 years the top six has actually been talked about because nobody cares. Nobody used to care about like anybody past the top four because that's
Mm-hmm.
obviously Champions League soccer, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what I'll do is I'll quickly go over the top six from last year, and in case anybody doesn't remember, I'll go from first to six. So we had Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester City, West Ham United. Okay, so that's first to sixth there. I'm just gonna go right into it. Okay, and just to go over my top six, I will let everybody know Arsenal and Tottenham are not in my top six. I think they're mid-table next year, and especially, and that's with if Tottenham keeps Kane. If Tottenham keeps Kane, I still do not think they're getting top six. I think they're being mid-table. If they don't, if they don't keep Kane, I personally don't know where they're going to be. But I'll just go over my top six. I think I'm honestly torn because I think a healthy Everton team, okay, could be top six. But I also think, and this is what I thought before, that Aston Villa is going to get six. Okay, just because of the players that they added in. Obviously, they're getting more experience and they're playing better in the Premier League. But if they kept Jack, right, if they kept Grealish, I was thinking for sure they're being in the top six. But I'm not too sure. So I would actually, just to solidify my answer, I'm putting Everton sixth place for me.
Wow, that's interesting. I
Yeah,
like that. That's a
yeah,
good one because
a healthy Everton team though, a
because
healthy one.
the sixth place is hard because you have teams like Everton, Villa, and like even like Arsenal, Spurs that would be in that debate for like from sixth to whatever like 10th or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the
Yeah,
thing, right? I like Everton. I like Benitez. I like a lot of their team. I also like Villa a lot, and I think that they spent their money really well when they got Buendia
yeah,
and Leon Bailey to replace and Danny Ings to replace
yeah,
Grealish.
yeah, yeah.
But now this one's spicy
And
from
Ings
go ahead.
coming off 22 goal season.
And he's a proven goal scorer in this league too, so he'll fit
Yeah.
right in. Now this is the thing with me though. It's a spicy take for you, okay? But I actually have Arsenal in sixth.
No.
The reason I have Arsenal in sixth is because they don't have any European football this year. They only have the Premier League to play. They don't have Champions
Mm,
League, Europa League, nothing like that to worry about. So they have nothing to play midweek.
yeah.
Only the Premier League is their sole focus the whole year. On top of that, they did strengthen in some areas that they needed to. For example, they did get rid of David Luiz. They got a new center back, Ben White, for 64 million. They also got Lakonga, which unproven, and they also got Nuno Tavares as left back. Now, I think that they're at the back was where they were the weakest. I think that
Yeah.
they're not ready to win at all, and I think that sixth is really pushing it. I think that's like like the maximum you would see this team achieving, but I think that they could do it just based on the fact that they don't have to worry about playing anything midweek. And I don't know, man. I just got a feeling Arsenal's gonna get six this year. That's just what I'm feeling.
For me, it's just that Arsenal, ever since they signed Arteta and Aubameyang signed the contract and everything, signed the thing, right? I feel like they've just been going
No, they've
downhill.
been
I feel
going
like the
down.
players
They've been going down.
themselves have been getting worse. Obviously, the signing, I think it was last year at the start of the season they signed Gabriel, right, for the center back. He's been playing good, right? I don't have anything to say bad about him. Bellerin I've never seen. Actually, that's not true. I'll hold back there. But for Bellerin, he's also been declining rapidly, which is really bad for their defense because he used to be, one of their best defenders that they had. So, yeah, I honestly, like I said, I don't even have them anywhere close to six. I have them just mid table. If they get relegated, I wouldn't even be surprised. I'd be more surprised if they got top six than if they got relegated. I know that's like,
We'll have to see, man.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
anyway,
so
moving on.
for my five here, this is where it gets kind of boring here. Okay, but for my top five, I do have Leicester right where they are. I honestly like they could be a top four team. They just choke so hard, like just so hard. But I mean, the team is fantastic. I think they have one of the better midfields. Honestly, if you had the two defenders they had, especially in Didi, if he played on like any team that's playing in like the UCL, right? Like if he was playing on Real Madrid, PSG, especially now, Bayern Munich, right? He would fit right in. Like guys, absolutely spectacular. Jamie Vardy, regardless what people say, like this guy still for striker still has the best shot to goal ratio. Like I know that might not mean much, but you got to take it. Most of the time when he shoots, he scores, right? So as long as he's shooting, he's going to be scoring. Harvey Barnes is a fantastic young talent as well. So if they don't choke, they would be in the top 14 for me. But right now, especially with the talent that most of the other teams got this year, especially who's going to be in my next top four, I just have to leave Leicester at five.
Yeah, unfortunately for me too, I also have Leicester at fifth. I think that you're right. They always choke especially under Brendan Rodgers. Man, I just don't know what it is with this guy, but they always like find some way. Like even last year,
Mm-hmm.
they had everything. It was all the cards in their power. They had their destiny in their own hands to make top four, and they lose like 2 games in a row, and they don't make top four, and Chelsea gets in, which is
Yeah.
incredible to me. But yeah,
I mean, last year was even worse,
yeah, it
right?
was the
They
worst.
lost. It was
It was
Man
the worst.
United, right? To for them to get top four, and they end up losing on a penalty that happened like at the end of the game. So like it's just insane what happened to them.
Yeah, it's the worst. But I still think I think they have a really good squad. Vardy, if they keep Madison or not, Schmeichel, Iheanacho, then Yuri Tielemans, Soyuncu, Wesley Fofana's injury. That's a big blow for them, I think. But obviously, they still have a really good team. Other than that, Ndidi, Harvey Barnes, and then looking at who they brought in as well this summer, Patson Daka from Salzburg in the Bundesliga. He played with Erling Haaland before he went to Dortmund. Really good. I watched him in preseason. Really good. Bukayo Samare from Lille last year, 22 million. Really good. Both of them have been excellent in preseason. They also picked up Brian Bertrand on a free transfer from Southampton. I just think they don't have enough. I think that the teams that have in the top four are just too good, and in a
Mm-hmm.
38 game season, it's really about how many points you drop and how many points you win. If you know what I mean. If you're trying to get the top four, especially, it's how many times can you beat the bad teams and not draw a game or lose a game, right? I just don't think that
Yeah.
this Leicester team has what it takes to beat the teams that have in the top four. But I definitely think that they're the fifth best team in the league.
Especially when you're looking at a team like Chelsea, right, who had such a awful start to the, I don't want to say awful, let's just say slow, such a slow
Slow
start
start,
to the
yeah.
season there, and they end up still getting top four, and
Mhm.
right, like Leicester basically had that, right. So again, it's definitely tough for me to put them any bit higher since it feels like they don't want to be in the top
Yeah.
four, right. That's
Mhm.
that's what I'm getting from them. But going on to my top four here, okay. Again, this is going to be it's kind of looking similar here to the one they had last year, but I am keeping Chelsea in top four. I am because I just feel like the rest of the three teams above them are just better than Chelsea in terms of like how playing in the Premier League, playing in and out. Because I mean Chelsea's good. Obviously, we've talked about their players a lot. Jorginho again, if he doesn't win Ballon d'Or, then I'm not too sure. Right, I'm not too sure. But everybody else, again, obviously, the signing of Lukaku, Tuchel is the manager. The defense has been solid. Pulisic, who I think is super underrated. Right, Werner, who as much as all the memes are about him, I still think he's good. Conte, probably the best center defensive mid in the world. I just feel like sometimes they're just too inconsistent. Like getting 5 scored on you from West Brom is just unheard of, right? Especially when you're a team like this, right? And again, that's probably going to come back and bite me when I say that, but that's the only reason why I do have them fourth. Like I said, I feel like the 3 teams above them are just going to be better. But so I still have Chelsea at 4.
Okay, I got another spicy one for you potentially.
Okay.
For my fourth, I have Liverpool. Now,
Wow.
I don't think the thing with them, they have Van Dijk who's coming back, right? And they did poorly last year. They had a center back crisis where they had to go like 5 string CB.
Crisis.
Yeah, they had to go like 5th string CBs. They had like their center forwards playing center back. But I just think that the squad that they're going into the season with is essentially the same squad they've went into the last 5 seasons with. I don't think that they've improved enough. Now, they did sign Konate from RB Leipzig, and he's obviously pretty good. I actually really like him. He's 22, 44 million they got him for. But I just don't think that is enough reinforcement, especially when you get this high up in the table now, top 4, you're looking at teams like City, like Chelsea or whatever. City, for example, who have this depth where they can essentially field 2 teams that could potentially win the league. And I just think that this team doesn't have that depth that will help them like challenge for the league or even any higher. I think the 3 teams that have ahead of them are better than them and they have more depth than them. And I think that they'll be more consistent throughout the season than these guys will.
Really? Yeah, no. And that makes a lot of sense. It's weird because I actually have, and you're probably going to know where I have Liverpool after this, but I have City actually in my 3rd, okay, ending up the season because I do personally think, I'll go to that after, but I do have City in my 3rd, okay. So obviously I do have Liverpool above them, but I just think like you were saying, I know that they have the depth, and obviously they signed Grealish, and they're not done with the Harry Kane drama as well. I just personally think that like some of the things that are coming about Pep, and especially after the Champions League game, I just feel like he's getting in his head too much sometimes with the the formation, the tactics that you want to do, and then some of the players. And the thing about the Premier League that I say a lot before I get into the players, the thing I say about the Premier League a lot is the reason why, in my opinion, it's the toughest league is because you could be like City, right? You get first one year, and then the end, you end up not getting first, and you end up being 4th. That's usually how the league is. I mean, if you look at like Chelsea when Conte was coaching it was his first year. He brought in a new tactics that nobody was really ready for, and he ended up winning the league. Right? He left, and then obviously that's what happened there. But I mean, with City, I think that their kind of reign of terror comes to an end here. I don't, with some of the players that they have just too many players. The signing with Grealish, like I said, I don't know where he fits. They have too much of the same type of players. The defense, on my personal opinion, like I don't rate Ruben Diaz. I don't rate Kyle Walker on defense as well. Mendy, those type of guys. So I honestly feel like their kind of reign of terror is going to end this year, and I feel like with Pep Guardiola getting in his own head, I feel like they end up being 3rd.
That's okay. That's a spicy one for sure. That's the hottest one of the day.
People are not gonna like that.
That one came right out of the oven, dude. That one's fresh as shit. Now, it's funny you say Man City, obviously, because my 3rd place team is also from Manchester, but they wear red. Now, I have Man U in 3rd. Okay, I'm in 3rd, which means you guys know who my top 2 are. You don't know the order though. You know my top 2. Now, I have Man U in 3rd. So it's a tough one. Like I've been saying, when you get this high up, it's pretty hard to like predict whoever's going to be the most consistent over 38 games. Remember, 38 games, that's a lot of games. That's a lot of opportunities for you to fuck up essentially, right? You make a mistake and draw to,
especially when you play in Europe in the tournament.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. You easily can go into a game, maybe think, oh yeah, it's Norwich, we'll blow them, and you draw 1-1 or you lose 2-1, like we've seen City do before actually, in the year that they lost the title to Liverpool. Now, I just think that Ole is not ready to take a team over 38 games and win a league, especially considering the teams he has to go up against. Even not even just the top 4 teams or the top 6 teams, but even just like, for example, Aston Villa, or even like other teams that are outside, like Newcastle, who are hard to break down, teams like that. I just think that there's just too many mistakes in him and too many flaws with the way he wants to set up that this team won't be able to win. Now, I do think that if Varane, because it's not announced yet, but we all know it's going to happen, Varane coming in and Sancho. Like they've improved their squad in areas that they needed to improve in, and I actually
Yeah.
do think that their team is much better than last year. I just think the two teams ahead of them, like I've been saying, are better than them. They also got better in other areas where they needed to get better, and I think that over 38 games, there's just going to be two teams that are going to accrue more points than they are. I think that this league could be like 100 points, and you may not even win the league like this year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and obviously, the closest it's ever come was I think when City got 98 and Liverpool got 97. I think in 2018-19, I believe.
Yeah.
So, like obviously that's insane because last year City won the league with 86 points, right? So, I think that this is going to be a highly competitive league, one of the most competitive we've seen in a while. I just think that while this team is really good, I just don't think they have enough to get over the line in the end.
Yeah. No, well, I'll comment on that like right after because I'll go into my second here, and because I will comment on what you said about them before. But I actually have Liverpool in my second place. Okay, and the reason why I know we came in, they basically have the same team, and they only have Virgil van Dijk coming back. The one thing is, well, again, I'm not one of those people that kind of promote or say that Virgil van Dijk's like the best defender of all time, or he's in the top three or whatever. But I do think that Virgil van Dijk is the best center back in the league for sure. I think his presence alone really changes how Liverpool plays, and obviously that's proven. Where they've come from to now, especially winning a Champions League. But just the whole team, right? Like I rate Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he plays like I think he played great last year, but playing aside Virgil van Dijk, I think he's going to play a lot better. Same with Robertson. But just the team in general with Jurgen Klopp, like, basically some things I was reading online, which I agree with. Like the managers really changes things. And I think Jurgen Klopp is absolutely brilliant. I was a huge fan of him when he coached Borussia Dortmund as well. So I think the team that they have right now, not only is it the same team, it's already a proven team. Like Mohamed Salah, like this guy is absolutely insane. I think Mane is one of the most underrated players, basically in the league as well as in the world. I think Jota playing that striker instead of having Roberto Firmino playing like center forward, but also defending as well. I think if they actually put Jota in and have three of those actually attack, especially with the system that they play, I think they're coming back with vengeance, especially Virgil. And I think that, like I said, because City, basically the reign of terror basically being over, like I said before, I think Liverpool definitely slots into that second place. They're gonna be absolutely unreal. That's what I personally think. Obviously, there is gonna be one team that's gonna be better than them that I personally think. But I'll have you kind of name your second there.
Yeah, no, like yeah, I mean, 100%. I agree with that. And anyone in the top four really could be interchanged, essentially.
Yeah.
Like it can go any way. But my second place team, they wear a blue jersey.
Okay.
Um, they
I
are
already
the
I already
Champions
know
League
who it is.
winners. So
Yeah. I had a
they are the
feeling.
Champions League
Yeah.
winners. So in
Yeah.
second place, I got Chelsea. Now the thing is, I did not believe the hype of Chelsea all last year because I thought,
Mhm.
and I still believe that no matter what, if you sign 10 players or whatever, like Havertz, Werner, this guy, that guy, Thiago Silva, my dad, my uncle, the whole world gets signed to a team, they're not going to mesh well, they're not going to fit well, it's not going to work when you try to go and win a league, especially for 38 games. Now, they proved me wrong, they won the Champions League, which I don't know how that happened. I'm not sure who allowed that to happen or why that
Defense
happened.
wins games. Defense wins
But
games.
building off of that, I think that they do have a solid defense. I think that Tuchel is a great manager. I think that adding Lukaku, you can't say that because Lukaku's here, he's going to score X number more goals because Werner
Mhm.
had this many chances and he missed them. I don't think it's really like that. In my opinion, I just don't think that's how life works. But I do think that
Yeah.
Lukaku will obviously add more goals to them. I actually, spoiler alert, I think he could be the top goal scorer, Golden Boot winner this year. He's already proven in the league. I think it's an insane signing, like an absolutely insane that they signed him, especially this summer, to add to this team already. And I just think that building off of what they did last year, especially with Tuchel, who's going to have now a full season in charge, I think they can definitely push for the title. I just don't think they have enough in the tank at the end to beat the team that I have in first. But I think that, yeah, I mean, especially with Lukaku joining, man, like I think that these guys are going to be really good this year.
No, for sure, and I see that as well. Before I name my first one, the one thing I will add as well for them for being interchangeable at one and two, right on yours, like they weren't even. they played amazing last year, and the chemistry wasn't even there. So now they're going into this year with a lot more chemistry, a lot more
More
confidence, a
time,
better,
build that
yeah,
team.
better striker, right? So again,
Hmm.
they're definitely gonna be a scary team. Obviously, for my first team, okay, we all know who it is. I think Manchester United is winning the league next year. And right before I go in there, start boasting that,
Mm.
I do agree with what you said. I don't think Ole does have what it takes. I think some of his tactics, because again, it's not really a secret. I am Ole out. I don't think he's the proper manager that should be managing a team like this. But he did get more time with the team, like we said, which is super important. Is he a better manager than Pep Guardiola, than Tuchel, than Klopp, right? Brendan Rodgers, especially, not at all. But I feel like even going off last year, this team almost plays like they're coaching themselves. I think they're just so good and they have so much chemistry with each other and they just really want to play for the club that they end up winning games just based off how they play and how good they actually are, without kind of the tactics or anything like that. Again, the manager does have to come into play for those tough games, especially in tournaments and when it comes closer to the end of the year, like March and April, when it really separates you. I'm just hoping that Ole has what it takes. But the signings that we made, the players that we have, again, I'm not going to talk too much into it, but I really do think we are winning the league this year, and I'm being 100% serious here
21's
when I
coming.
do say
Yep.
that I believe in them. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So then, obviously, moving on to the last one for me, my first place team from Manchester again, just down the road. They wear blue, though. I think that City's going to go back to back, win it again. Now, the main
Yeah.
reason I think this, I'm going to pull up a picture on screen from Twitter, okay? Now, it's kind of low quality, but you guys should be able to read it still. Pulling it up right now. Hold on, let me get it in here. Now, you can't see this, but this is a picture of Man City's squad depth. So you see there's two teams here. Now, on the top team, which is their second team, their keeper is Stefan, and they have Walker, Ake, Laporte, Mendy, Fernandinho, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Ferran Torres, and Gab Jesus. Now, this is assuming that they sign Harry Kane, which a lot of rumors are pointing that he will join there, and I think that without him, Man City win the league. With him, it's a lock. They're going to win the league, no question. And I think that we could see Kane be the Golden Boot winner. But then obviously going to their second team, or their first team really, Ederson, Cancelo, Stones, Diaz, Zinchenko, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, Mahrez, Jack Grealish, and Harry Kane. Now, okay, back to us now. I think that team is stupid. I don't know who allowed that to happen. This is the best. If you look at PSG, has the Avengers best 11, right? They're the best 11 ever assembled. This is the best squad, like with depth ever assembled, ever, literally ever. I've never seen something like this. Any of these guys, literally almost any single one of these guys can start in every single Premier League team. Like besides Ake and maybe Zinchenko, every single player will start in anyone else's team everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's insane. Now, again, Pep has won before last season. They're proven winners. I think that they've broken 100 points. I think that they can break 100 points like this season. Like I said, it's going to be highly competitive. We know how the City play. I think that they conceded, like the way that they play is actually suited the best for winning a league in the sense that they control possession. They don't give up a lot of shots. They don't give up a lot of chances, and they keep the ball, right? And I think that that's the best way to play against a team like Brentford, who might hit you on the counter and score one goal and win 1-0. Like City has the ball, they create so many chances. I just think that they're gonna score a boatload of goals, and they're the favorites before. They're still my favorites now. I think there's no way that this team, if this team doesn't win, then I think it's someone needs to be fired. Actually, wait,
Somebody,
before
we
we
don't know
continue though,
who.
actually, you brought up a good point, which I didn't think of until now. But on the flip side of that, when you have so many players like that are this good, it's on Pep now to select the right team, and he might be in his own head, and it might be actually a problem for him to have so many options where he might start overthinking it, maybe think, oh, I should play this guy here, this guy there, when it's actually the wrong decision. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
maybe that could
we've
play
seen
into
it so
it.
many times
Yeah,
too,
that
right?
could
Like,
play into it for him for sure. And I didn't consider that until just now when you brought that up, and I actually thought like that is a very good point in the sense that he could find a problem in the squad in the sense that he has too many players to pick from and he doesn't know who to choose, or he might make the wrong decision and play the wrong player when he should have played someone else.
yeah, and again, undoubtedly, like Manchester City team, again, like you said, the depth, definitely one of the, obviously the best, one of the best in the world. Again, one of the best of all time as well. The only other team I can compare it to is really, I want to say like the 17-18 Real Madrid team, when like even like their bench was able to like, place top four in La
Mm.
Liga, right? And also compete for the Champions League as well. So again, the depth is absolutely crazy. But, before we move on, like, we both agree on just too many players that all do the same type of thing, but they're all unique in the same way. It's just I'm not too sure how it's all going to mesh well. But again, Pep Guardiola is a genius. I don't want to count them out. Again, probably my top four. It could be interchangeable in any way just because of how good they are. But again, we won't be able to see
It's
until
going to be a
kind of the
competitive league
season
this year, and
starts.
all the teams are
Yeah,
really good. So I mean, pretty much it's
yeah,
anyone's guess as to who's going to win and who, like the order of the top four. I would be surprised
yeah.
if and in our top six, besides I have Arsenal and you have Villa. The other five, I would be surprised if any of them aren't in the top six. You know what I mean? It's just the order
Yeah,
of who's
it's just
where.
about how good they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
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 anyway,
yeah, going forward here, we're gonna go off of the awards.
Golden
Okay,
Boot.
so we're gonna go. Yeah. So which one do you want to do first?
We'll go. You want to do Golden Boot, Player of the Year, then Young Player of the Year. Okay, you want to do that?
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that. So
Like that?
Golden Boot. Yeah, Golden Boot. I think if so, it's weird. Okay, because there's a lot of things that come into play. I do believe that if Kane does go there to City, I think he potentially, if not like 100% guarantees him to get the Golden Boot. But at the same time, I don't know how much I believe that for sure. But and then also another shout out as well. Danny Ings playing on a way better team with way better creators around
Mm-hmm.
him. Again, you could see something with him end up being there. I'm not saying Aston Villa will end up winning the league or anything like that. But again, he could be the reason why they're talked about. But I'm honestly going with Mohamed Salah
Mm-hmm.
on there. I think he's a really underrated player because the amount of slander that he gets. But with Liverpool coming back, like I said, with a vengeance, and especially the place that they're going to get, in my opinion, which is second, I think Mohamed Salah is the reason why they'll end up getting that position and going as far as they do.
Yeah, no, and you know what? The Ings shout's a good one too, because usually the top scorer, the Golden Boot winner, isn't actually on the winning team. It hasn't happened for a
Hmm.
while. Like I know Kane won it 16 and in 17. Obviously Spurs didn't win. Salah won it in
Yeah,
18, and Mane won it in 19, which obviously they didn't win any of those years. And then Vardy won it the year that Liverpool won, and then Kane won it again last year when City won. So like, it's really
yeah,
up. Like, and even in Serie A, Ronaldo won the Capocannoniere last year, and
yeah.
Juve got fourth. You know what I mean? So like, just because the team's winning doesn't necessarily mean that the top scorer will come from that team. They can easily come from any other team.
The
Being
reason why
Ings,
teams win, in my opinion, is because anybody on the pitch can score a goal,
exactly. Yeah, it's not just one
right? So like
guy.
usually they
You just
don't
rely
have
on
the,
one
the
guy.
Golden Boot winner.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because they're not relying on one guy exactly. So, but with that, I think that Kane's a good shout for me. Either way, he's a good. Even if he stays on Spurs, he's still a good shout. Obviously, he's won it 4 times, but or 3 times. But I think that coming back, making his return home, I think that we could see. Hopefully, he hits the ground running. I think, in my opinion, we're gonna see Lukaku win Golden Boot. I just think he's so sick, man. He's lethal. There's no way he doesn't score 25 plus in the league. So for me, it's got to be him. Has to be Romelu, man. It's got to be.
Uh, yeah. He's definitely a good shout as well. I'm like just because of
Good
the
team
way
too.
Chelsea play.
They
Yeah.
create
Oh yeah,
chances.
yeah, great team. I think the Chelsea team, and I'm not scared to say, I think the Chelsea team that he's playing on now is much better than that Manchester United team he played on before, and
Hmm.
especially the system that they play. But
Hmm.
the system that they play is not kind of around the striker scoring goals, obviously, because without the memes or anything, because they had Werner. But let's move on to the next one. So this is Player of the Year.
Yep.
Player of the Year. I know it might come off as bias. Okay, I have honestly for my second pick, I wanted to put Bruno Fernandez because I think that he himself is an amazing player, regardless the penalty jokes or anything like that. Just besides him scoring goals, just what he brings to the table and what I think he's going to do next year, I definitely have him up there. But I honestly think, and this one's going to be a weird take, okay? I think Luke Shaw will actually win Player of the Year. I think the way he's been playing again, he's just been getting better and better. And I think what he's going to bring to this new side as well. I honestly just don't be surprised. Please quote me on
It's a
this,
good
guys.
take.
If he just because of the type of player he is
Well,
and what he's going to bring
it's
to
not
his
a good. It's a
Manchester
hot
team.
take. It's a steamy, spicy take. The reason that's a good. It's like fair though is because you gotta like stick to your guns. You said Man U's gonna win, and if Man U wins for last year, City won, and Ruben Diaz got it. So if Man U wins and Luke Shaw has
which
a
he
great
shouldn't have.
season, I agree. But if Man U wins and Luke Shaw has a great season, he could win. Varane could win it. You know what I mean? Either of them could win it
Yeah.
if they end up winning. Usually the winner comes from the winning team. Usually, not always, but
Yeah.
like Conte, Vardy, Hazard. The 1 year before that, the 1 year Suarez won it obviously, but they didn't win. But I'm going with kind of a generic answer. It could be either one for me, but I'm gonna go with I'm going with KDB. I think Kevin De Bruyne's gonna have a sick year this year. I think he was really good last year. I think he was really good in the
Yeah.
Euros, even though he wasn't fully fit and he came in like halfway through the first game and played a few. Like he was really good. So
Yeah.
I think that especially in this team, he might get phased out a little bit with Jack Grealish, but I think that not phased out, but maybe just he won't see the ball as much as he was.
He won't have as much pressure on him as
Yeah,
well, right?
that
Because
is
like
true.
basically Kevin De Bruyne was the guy who got everything
Yeah, he was the
going for
main
them,
guy
right?
the
For the
whole
most part.
yeah. But I think that I think City are gonna win. I think he's gonna be the key part of that, regardless of Kane coming or not. And I think that he's my
Yeah.
player of the year.
So moving on to Young Player of the Year. Again, this one might come off as biased. You might not agree with it, but I do have Mason Greenwood winning Young Player of the Year. And reasons why, okay, just because, just really quickly, just with the signings that we made, okay, and how they're going to end up playing. I think Greenwood, who's by far the best finisher on the team, plays that striker more often, and he really shows because he's like a traditional striker, in the box striker, like any type of striker you want him to be. So I think him with Jordan Sancho, and then obviously Lingard coming back and Martial hopefully coming back in form, which you can obviously play either wing, right? I think us putting Greenwood back up at striker, where he has a lot better creators, and especially Rashford, obviously when he comes back into the season, after surgery and he's healthy because he wasn't healthy towards the back end of the season. But again, when we're playing him more at the striker role, I feel like he'll really, really show his true colors and his true potential. So I do end up having him on my Young Player of the Year.
Fair, and like you've been saying, you gotta stick to your guns. And sticking to my guns with my sixth place team, I think that the Young Player of the Year this year will be Bukayo Saka. Now it's not because everyone feels bad that he missed a pen and that the boys took home the big trophy. I think that he gets enough minutes in the first team to
Yep.
obviously make an impact, and I think that he'll have a good season. They have him playing left back, left wing, all these different positions. I think that if he gets good, solid time playing, like say left wing, he scores 7, 8 goals, which he usually could. He's a very good player. I think that I think he's a good pick. I think Bukayo Saka wins Young Player of the Year for me this year.
He's definitely one of the better new type of wingers that the Premier League has, where basically you have, like before you just basically had like a four back, and then you had wingers up there, and basically they would just stay up there and wait for the ball and create. But now, again, just because of how competitive the league is being, you have like these wingers who are running up and down the field, who are playing defense, who are playing midfield, halfway in the ball, and then again playing up top. And we've obviously, and everybody knows this, he's definitely one of the people who played that the best, right? Where he's on defense and on attack as well. And he has so much potential. The only reason why I don't have him in mind, again, he was definitely a close pick, just because of the team that he's on. I'm not too sure will help him, basically elevate him to the next level. Like a good example, obviously you had Sterling right on that Liverpool team when they were rebuilding. Great player. He showed so much colors, so much potential in his true colors. But basically, when he went to that Man City team is when he really, became the player that he really is. And again, because that team was better. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I didn't really have Saka in mind.
Another decent shout too is Emil Smith Rowe. He just got the number 10 jersey at Arsenal. He's gonna play a lot this year. He's 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's a good shout too. But like you said, Arsenal is kind of shit. I think Saka for me still my pick. So yeah,
Okay.
just
No,
know that
for
I
sure.
did say Emil Smith Rowe in case he does win it. I put it out there. Like I thought of it. I said it. But I'm taking
Yeah.
Saka.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, and that makes sense. Obviously, that does wrap up everything that we did have to talk about here. So again, like we said at the beginning, if you guys have any other takes, anything else, please let me know, or let us know. Obviously, down in the comments. If you do like the video, please leave a like. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video and you can't subscribe because you don't have a YouTube account, make a YouTube account. Then come back to the video, like it, and then subscribe. Okay. But we'll catch you guys at a different date, a different type of video. Thank you.